All right, it is 10:30. We will start rolling now. Welcome to the Fun Stuff with AI AI beginner course here. We're going to focus on some AI tools for creators, but you don't have to be a creator to enjoy these tools. This is stuff that often you can use in your work, in your projects, in anything that you do that's kind of especially task heavy. Something that's awesome about the latest AI tools is um, it can really have no learning curve. That's what's so impressive to me about them is you can just jump in and use them, and it doesn't matter if you're a computer nerd. We admit a few people from the waiting room here, but so AI traditionally in the past, I've been studying it since 2018. You would have to know some Python to get the most out of it, and Python's computer code. And now all you have to know is natural language, which is crazy. You could just use AI with English language now. And the barrier to getting things done with artificial intelligence is so much lower. Now, what that will do is have a profound effect on the creative world as well as the professional world, where some people will be using these tools and some people won't. And I like to think of it like if your job were to be, or your project were to be like moving a bunch of bricks, and the measure of how much you got paid was how many bricks you could move every 5 minutes. And let's say that you can move 100 bricks every 5 minutes and you get paid twice as much as somebody who can move 80 bricks in 5 minutes because you just have that much more leverage. Along comes AI, and that's like somebody driving a forklift, and they show up and they move 1,000 bricks in 5 minutes, and they don't know anything about bricks. They just know that they're driving something that's really easy to drive, and it gets a lot of productive stuff done. And now, like, why would you get paid to move 100 bricks in 5 minutes if this one can move 1,000 in 5 for less? So all this leverage is becoming available, especially starting, I would say, in March 2023. A lot of really cool tools were released. We had GPT-4, which is an insanely intelligent program. There are things that it's really dumb at. Yes, there are some hilarious mistakes that it can make. It can hallucinate, but it's also a really good forklift for a lot of stuff. It can get a lot of things done for you, and it can give you new skills. It can teach you how to do things. It's like having a personalized assistant and tutor that you can just talk to or type to, as the case is. And what this will end up doing is expand the economy in a way that we can't really predict right now. So I'm not going to try to predict it. But the overall output for the amount of effort provided is going to, that equation is going to change, and that's going to have, I believe, very positive outcomes for the economy in general. But for you as an individual, or you as someone who is working in an organization or working on a project, you can use this leverage now, and most people haven't even heard of it. This is so early that most people, I know if you're in the AI bubble, it feels like everybody knows about it, but I'm telling you, they don't. I've been talking to people this week and asking them if they know about ChatGPT, and they're like, what's that? And I'm like, it's a new kind of AI. And the response has often been, I don't even know if I know what AI is. So we are early. That is good. And good people with good vibes and good intentions should be the ones getting the leverage and starting this early and maximizing what they're doing. So that's how I feel about AI right now. It can give you tremendous leverage. It can make you so much more productive. And all it takes is just picking up the tools and using them. The learning curve is insanely short on most of these tools. So first, let's go to, and I will take questions at the end too, and we'll we'll even brainstorm together about how we can do bigger things with these new tools. But first I want to show you, I think I've got 4 demos here. I want to show you ChatGPT first, and we're not going to spend a ton of time there because that's the one most people are mostly familiar with. Some of you will have used it before, but we're going to look at GPT first. So let me share my screen here, and this is the one I want to share. Very good. And let me pull up Chrome here and move this toolbar over here. All right. So first, we're going to look at ChatGPT. This is intelligence on tap for, if you want, for free, but also 20 bucks a month for something insanely intelligent. And I'm not selling anybody anything on this. Don't worry. I don't get any affiliate commissions. There's no brace for the sale that's coming here. I'm just talking about some tools I've been using lately. This is the default model. It's super fast. What it is something that will predict what the next letter is. It's that simple. Humans are like this too. Right now, I'm predicting what the next word is I'm going to say automatically in a very fast way that is hard to tell that I'm doing that, but that's really how humans work too, in my opinion. So that's what this program will do. Let's give it a task. I have a desire to learn to speed read because there are so many awesome books that I just need to catch up on. I love educating myself in philosophy and history and technology and science fiction too, if I'm honest, although I don't really want to speed read that stuff. But I want to learn how to speed read. This is a skill I've wanted since I was in college, so I'm going to ask this to tutor me in it. I will say, you are an expert speed reading tutor. Please design a course of appropriate, so we're going to give it agency here, of appropriate length for literate 35-year-old who already loves to read. And then it will start here. And let's see how it says 6 weeks is how long it thinks I should take to learn this. It will give me details of each week. And this is one of the ways that I prefer to use ChatGPT is have it make an outline first, because once you do that, you can have it elaborate on different things in the outline. So let's say we want it to give me a day-by-day breakdown of week 1. And what we're going to do is slowly zoom in on the things that we actually need to do to take action and benefit from this. So here's week 1. It's probably going to give me a 7-day week. And it knows that humans don't really necessarily want to work a ton on the weekend. Maybe they want to take some time off. So day 6 to 7, it's kind of cool that it knows to make that not too intense. So from here, I will say, give me the instructions for week 1, day 1. All right, so now it's going to basically write a curriculum for me. And you can do this by giving it the coordinates of what you need, like week 1, day 2, week 2, day 4, whatever it is, but it makes sense usually to ask for it in progression. And that's how you're going to learn whatever you're trying to learn anyway. So this is a very basic way to use ChatGPT, but what it does is it demonstrates the power of having it, let me admit some folks into from the waiting room here. It demonstrates the power of having it give you information in a structured manner. Next, I want to show you GPT-4 and actually combine it with another tool. So what we're going to do, and by the way, GPT-4 is a more intelligent model, but it runs a little slower. You see it's kind of got these stats here next to it when you pick them. When you're on the ChatGPT Plus, you get a pick between 3 different models currently. And 4 is kind of slow, but it doesn't get super verbose, and it's got intense reasoning capabilities. So what we're going to do is we're going to take another tool called Whisper. Whisper was created by OpenAI, and what it can do is you just upload an audio file to it, and it will decode it into words. And what we want is to take the words from an audio file and have it create that into text that we can copy and paste into GPT-4. So for this example, you can use this. I know this looks a little intimidating if you haven't played with code before, but don't worry, you don't actually need to know any code to do this. All you need to do is click play buttons. So I'm going to instantiate a fresh example of this because I was running it earlier on a different project. All you got to do, and I'll send you all the link for this. Literally, if you just click this link here, it will take you to this. All you have to have is a Google account, and it will give you this free Colab code running area here. Let me make sure nobody's waiting in the waiting room. Had a few folks just show up. Okay, good. So what I'm going to do is install the Whisper code into this notebook. All you do is click the play button next to the boxes. That's all you got to know how to do. And then it will install this program here. And it's really insanely powerful. I have set a mic pack. I'm wearing one right now, but it records audio when it's on, regardless of whether you're streaming it to a device. So I've set my mic pack like on my bookshelf back there and just talk to myself, talk to my dog, just had conversation, and then kind of ran through out loud what I needed to do that day to work on my project. Then I pulled the audio file from that and put it into Whisper, and it got pretty much everything verbatim. It's incredibly powerful. Your imagination's the limit on what you can do with that. You'll probably start seeing it in corporate environments and meetings and stuff like that. But the ability to turn audio into text, and text is searchable, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. It's pretty powerful. But now we're going to let's choose a Winston Churchill speech here, just because it's not a huge file, so you don't have to wait around for it to transcribe. It's a fast transcriber, but y'all's time is valuable. So this is going to upload. Here's the uploader here. This is the one thing you need to know to do to make this work. All you do is copy the name, and it will auto-populate the name of whatever file you're uploading. It will post it right here. And you'll see that the person that built this notebook here, they had a different file name in their example. So all we do is change the file name. We paste it in between these parentheses, so that's a different file. That's the most technical thing you have to do to make this work. Now we're just going to click play on this, and what this will do is run the Whisper AI against our audio file, and then it will just spit out a box of the text. It won't take long either. So you can imagine this is really good if you are someone who has a podcast, or you're an editor for podcasts, and you need to get the transcript of that and use that as added value for your subscribers, because some people might just want to read it. And you can go a step further. Here's our text. I'm just going to triple click and copy it. You can go a step further and actually get a analysis of it. Well, let's copy the wrong thing. Hang on. Command C, and there it is. Here it is, and it's a little hard to see, so let me make the text darker here. So here's Winston Churchill's speech to Parliament. It doesn't say who the speaker is or anything, so we're just going to take this text. We're going to go over to GPT. We're going to turn it into its most intelligent version, GPT-4, and I'm going to tell it what it is and what I want it to do for me. This is one of the powers of GPT-4 that is kind of exciting to me. You can tell it what role it's playing, and it's really good at that. I actually had it play the role of Steve Jobs last night because I wanted advice on my project and my business. I told it, you are an expert in the lore of Steve Jobs. You know all of his speeches. You've read everything he's written. You have studied his style. And now you are going to speak to me in his style of speaking with his level of knowledge, and I'm going to ask you questions. And it was like, okay, go ahead. And so I asked it questions and it actually gave some really good mentor style advice. And that was pretty exciting to see. But for this example, we're going to use GPT-4 to actually analyze this speech and tell us what it's about. I'm going to say, you are an expert transcript analyst. I will paste a transcript to you, and you can see how the human's now the bottleneck. Even just prompting feels slow in this world. I will paste this transcript to you, and you will give me an analysis and some conclusions about it. Here is the transcript. There we go. So this is the audio file we pulled. We had Whisper decode it into text, and now we're having GPT-4 tell us what it's about and perhaps some conclusions that can be drawn about it. And it's really doing a good job of this. I previewed this speech just to make sure that it would talk about the right stuff, but basically Churchill is saying, hey, we probably shouldn't advertise when we're going to be meeting in Parliament, just because London's getting air raids right now and we don't want to make it easy for the enemy to take us all out. And he has his dry, dark humor in there. And he talks about the things they're facing, their challenges, and it's just like government business in a time of war, literally in your skies. So what GPT-4 will do is kind of get that from context of what Churchill's talking about. And then it will, this last sentence here is really a good analysis of what this was about. It says, overall, the transcript reflects a sense of urgency, determination, and unity in the face of an impending invasion, as well as the challenges of managing a nation at war. Now, we're going to have GPT do something a little different. I'm going to say, what would it have been like to live in this place at this time? It guesses correctly that it's World War II, UK, and then it tells you what it would have been like to live there, just based on a transcript. Pretty neat. Imagine using this for your podcast. Imagine using this for your audio files and creating descriptions in YouTube or wherever, where you need to write out what the podcast is about and kind of improve it for SEO within YouTube, because YouTube is one of the biggest search engines out there. And the better you can describe your content about your video, the better it's going to be at finding it and recommending it to the people that are your true audience. So I've seen a lot of long descriptions on YouTube, and actually I kind of respect those a little bit more because I can also read what the video is about. Maybe I don't have time to watch the whole thing. So giving this to your community will probably, I can't promise it will, but it will probably increase your SEO within YouTube if you have videos or podcasts. But speaking of, you don't have to go all the way to Whisper to do this. If you are using YouTube, there is a tool called VidSummarize. I'm in the Discord, which is a chat server for OpenAI. I got to join it and I get to read what the lead users and the developers are doing in there. And this is something that one of them made, or a team of them made. And all you do is you paste a YouTube link in here and it will give you a summary of it. So I'm going to copy a, so here's a video. I like Alex Hormozi. He's a little over the top. I'm not trying to be Alex Hormozi, but he has some really good advice for someone who's running a business on their own or starting a project on their own or just trying to grow as a person. And I would like a summary of this video here. I'm going to just copy that link and paste it into this VidSummarize thing here. And it's quite fast. Like, you don't have to wait around for this. It will tell you what is in this video. It will give you a really good breakdown of what it's about. And this is really good, especially for like Lex Fridman podcasts. I love Lex. He is a well-known podcaster and interviewer, but they are often over 3 hours long. And I just don't have the time in the day usually to listen to him unless I'm driving quite a bit that week. And even then, I usually listen at 1.5 speed. So this is a really useful tool. I've actually used on his recent interview with Eliezer Yudkowsky, who is a AI doomer, and he's a voice that I want to listen to. I don't agree with him, but he thinks that AI is going to end the world and it will happen soon, and there's not much we can do about it, but he's trying to fight it. So it's kind of a gloomy outlook on what this could become. I think that's probably only a 3% chance, which that's kind of high for some people, but I think that's about like what, nuclear war or something. I wanted to see what he had to say, but I didn't want to spend 3 hours listening to him. And I used this to do that. It was very useful. But I've watched this Hormozi video before, and this is a good analysis of the different lessons that he went through in this. And so I can read through this and remember things in a visual way that sometimes I don't absorb in an audio way or watching a video way. So just simple things like give people a slice of the pie and let them get rich too. It's talking about your team and making sure that they have skin in the game if you're building a company with people. Brands have pricing power and can sell things at a higher price because of the brand name. That is something he just said in passing, and you almost, unless you were listening closely, you would have missed it. But having it right here is very useful. But that's an example with YouTube. This is vidsummeyes.com. You have to have a OpenAI API key to use it. And that's a good segue into the more advanced ways of using GPT. We'll go over this briefly, and then we'll get into text and video, or we'll get into audio and video generation as well. I want to make sure we have a little bit of time to look at that, as well as go over any discussion and questions. But this is the OpenAI. This is their Playground, and there's also something known as API, which is how you actually connect GPT to your own programs. But what we are interested in today is Playground. This is a different way to use the GPT models, and it's a pay per token thing. And all a token is how much compute it costs to generate some text. And I generated just to give you an idea of how much it costs, I use their most expensive model to generate this ChatGPT guide, which is free. I'm not trying to sell this here, but this is free. I use this to generate this guide, and it is this long. It's like got 4 days of instructions with some detail in there and some examples and some different things you can do to learn ChatGPT. And it costed $1.60 to create this with the most expensive model. And I had this done in about half an hour. Making this guide, and that most of that time was formatting. Most of that time was formatting, but making this guide for $1.60 instead of spending 3 hours creating it, or probably longer, because I'm kind of a perfectionist sometimes, and making it in a way that's not tech bro, highbrow. I told it to generate this in a simple and understandable lexicon. I wanted it to respect the users. I wanted to respect the user's intelligence and also not use unnecessarily big words to make this, so that it's like you could send this to your mom and she could learn ChatGPT, even if she mostly just knows how to use a browser. But $1.60 for something that would have taken me 3 or 4 hours. Amazing. Let's go back to the Playground and I'll show you where to go to do that. What we're going to do is switch this model here to Chat. And Chat is kind of like ChatGPT. It uses some of the power of it, but we switch it to GPT-4 here. But you can tell it what it is here, and you can put in quite a bit of info here. You know how I told the transcriber what it was at the beginning, and I told the Steve Jobs bot what it was at the beginning? You can just use this area here to instantiate the model in a way that you want to in advance, and then just put your messages here. So This was my prompt for it, and I actually had a system message here too, and it created that guide. This is the playground. You can do all kinds of things, like you can make it more creative. That's what the temperature is. It's like it's creativity. It becomes super boring if you turn the temperature towards 0. It like makes pretty dry output. Maybe that's good for like technical things or employee handbooks or legal documents, things where you don't want it improvising, and hallucination would be a bad thing. And if you want something that's more like you're trying to generate text for, let's say you're making an audio book with the audio generator we're about to look at, maybe you want it to be a little bit more creative. So we're going to turn the creativity up on this. We're also going to turn the maximum length up on this. This is how many tokens it will allow for this conversation. So unlike ChatGPT, eventually you'll hit a limit of how much you get to talk to this model here. So I only use it for smaller to medium-sized projects. But just for our example today, we're going to turn that thing up all the way. So let's create something that we can drop into the voice generator and make it something that maybe we even want to listen to. So I'm going to say, I'm kind of nerdy, so watch out. You are a Tolkien expert. You know Lord of the Rings and its associated trivia very well. And now I'm going to prompt it with, please write the introduction chapter to a book about AI progress in the style of Tolkien. So now I'm going to submit this, and we're going to take this over to our voice generator, and it's going to sound like we're listening to a Tolkien book. And this is just an example of what you can do. You can give it examples of your own style. So if you're a writer and you have your own style, you can actually design prompts in this or in ChatGPT. You don't even have to necessarily spend money to do this. GPT-3 is actually pretty decent at this. But you can do multi-stage prompts with GPT, which my free guide about how to use Midjourney shows you how to do this kind of thing. But you can say, hey, I'm going to give you a bunch of examples. Here's example 1. I want you to analyze a style of this, and then tell me after you've done that you're done, and I'll give you more. And we'll say, okay, done, after you send it an example of your writing. And then you send it some more and say, after you read this and analyze a style, please tell me that you understand it and you're ready for more. And you can do this with like 3 or 4 chunks of text. And after that, it'll be pretty good at mimicking your style. And you can say, in this style, write an article or a chapter or a blog post or a video script about this topic, and here's the details of that topic. And then it will look like something that's probably 95%, well, maybe with GPT 3.5, maybe about 85% close to what you would write, but still a good first draft. And with GPT-4, it'll be like 98% close. But here is this Tolkien style intro to a book about artificial intelligence and its progress. So what we're going to do is we're just going to copy a few paragraphs of this, and I'm going to go over to another tool. This is our next demo called Elevenlabs. And Elevenlabs is a software as a service. It's one of the better ones I found for this. There are multiple ones. And I think it's like $1 a month for month 1. And after that, it's $5 a month. But I haven't run out of my quota of compute yet, and you can buy more compute for super cheap too. So at first I thought I'd run through this pretty quick, and I didn't. I've been using this for weeks now, and I haven't even come close to running out. So here's my remaining tokens, 12,000. Here's what this one will cost, 1,300. So I have pre-cloned. Remember, ethics are important. Don't pre-clone somebody that would still be selling their work or is alive or doesn't want their voice cloned, or just think about if it was you. Don't do anything that you wouldn't want done to you with this. But for my projects, I've cloned Churchill, it gets that all right. I've cloned myself. I went into the closet and recorded my voice in there for 5 minutes reading a book. That's the best way to do it. And I say closet because your clothes are hanging in there and they will dampen the noise. And like if there's reverb in your recording, this will pick it up when it clones your voice. It will mimic the audio environment. I dropped Steve Jobs in here too, so that I could actually have him speak to me. I copied the GPT-4 output when I was asking him for advice and pasted it in here and had him speak to me. And that was surreal. It was very accurate. This is the original narrator of Lord of the Rings. I love his voice. I would only use this for personal use here. I would never try to sell this kind of thing, but that's whose voice we're going to use here. Because he's got a very Lord of the Ringsy voice and it matches the vibe of this project. So this is the settings for your voice output. We're going to turn the stability down in the bottom 30%. What this will do is give him more inflection. So he will have more emotion in his voice, more ups and downs. And what this will do here, the second slider is how close it is in similarity. So you want a pretty well-trained model to do this. And I'll show you how to do it. It's like easier than what we're doing right now to clone a voice. But let's have this generate, and you'll see the speed at which it generates too. And I'll take my mic pack here down to my speaker so you can hear it. And it's starting.
Chapter 1, in the dawn of the age of AI. In a time long past when the world was younger and the stars shone more brightly in the night sky, there was an age of discovery, an age of wonder, a time when the works of mortals reached for the lofty heights of the celestial firmament, seeking to unlock the mysteries of the cosmos.
That's pretty awesome. But I would read that story or listen to it for sure. But here is, and here's the download button for this. So this is 1 minute and 27 seconds. Let's say maybe you're making a voiceover for a video and you want to have a specific style of voice. I think the Churchill one's pretty good. It misses his accent, but it's got this old-timey sound to it. If you want to have a voiceover for a video you're making that sounds a certain way, this is a good way to do it. You just click download and it makes the audio file right here. Like it's just an MP3 that it puts out. Super easy. But here's how you clone a voice, and please be ethical when you do this. Don't use this for nefarious purposes because it's powerful as hell. But I'm going to tell you that you can do this with any MP3. You could pull this off of YouTube. It doesn't take too many technical skills to get an audio clip off of YouTube of somebody's voice. You could do this off of any kind of audio recording. It just has to be less than 10 megabytes in size, and being longer than 5 minutes doesn't really improve its quality. So it doesn't even have to be that long. So let's go to Voice Lab. And here's the voices that I've cloned here. You just click Add Voice, click Instant Voice Cloning, and then you can just drag and drop a file in here. Let's see if I have, I'm not going to make y'all sit through this, but you would literally just drag and drop, say Winston Churchill over into here, and it's done by the time you go to your text box and create text. It takes like no time to make this. But that's how to clone your voice. It's really cool for me because I want to increase my output in my videos, and maybe I'm in a noisy environment. Sometimes as you heard that motorcycle go by, sometimes windows are open, it's a nice day, or the lawn crew is here and it's really noisy. And I need to make a video because this is my time in the day where I can make a video, and I just need good, clean audio. So I'll type out what I want to say. I'll choose my own cloned voice, and then I'll download that, and then won't have any mowers and weed eaters in the background. And it's like 90% close to me. It's good enough for a video, and the audio quality is good. The remaining 10% is just a similarity thing. Like people that know me would know that it sounds like me, but it's not quite me. But people that don't know me think this is just a voice talking. It's not really. You can't tell it's an AI. You can if you've heard a bunch of AI before, but it is hard to tell. That is Elevenlabs. Use that to generate audio. It's very cheap to buy compute credits. I don't know how they're so fast and how they're so cheap, but it's pretty good. And I will be using that for my audio gen stuff. Now let's go to image generation. This is really fun. I have used something called DALL-E, which is OpenAI's image generator. And frankly, I got okay results with it. This is better. This is called Midjourney. And Midjourney lives inside of Discord. Discord is a chat server. It's kind of like Slack or any old chat service that you would use. But to get images, you send prompts to the Midjourney bot. And as a subscriber, they connect you to the bot. So you have to set up two things if you're going to use Midjourney. Don't let this, I'm going to make a beginner's guide for this just because it's so awesome. And there's like a few steps where people can get lost, but it's not super hard. You go to their website and you sign up for whatever plan. I think I'm on the $30 a month plan, and I've only used a tiny amount of that. I think I have overkill in how much membership I bought. So I'm going to say /info and see how much I have used. I don't know what's going on here, but there it is. All right, so I have used only like 9% of my compute, and I've been using the heck out of this. At least I feel like I have. I've generated so many images, just like an absurd number of them. And this was all 9% of that 30, I think $30. But these images here are pretty cool. I started out using Midjourney and I get results like this. I mean, they're kind of blah. They're not that detailed. And that's just because I was sending things like a heroic painting of an adventurous man. And that's not that much detail. I learned that I actually looked into the world of Midjourney prompting and started to learn quite a bit. You can actually go into great detail. You can say what kind of camera was used to take the photo, if it's a photo. You can say what camera settings, like ISO, shutter speed. You can use all kinds of things. Say it's a film camera or digital camera. And that's just if you're doing a photo. You can also do different styles of art and different art programs. And remember, this is just hallucinating something based on a ton of images that it was trained on. The more specific you are about which things to hallucinate from, the better. And it will get stuff wrong sometimes. This is a good example. Let's look at this old-timey scene here that I wanted to generate. I wanted a picture of a family that's a pioneer family going west, pulling a wagon. And there's some things here which just don't make sense. Like this wagon here is missing a wheel on this side. That would never work. That family would not make it over the pass of the Rocky Mountains, period. You can tell they're grumpy about it. But this one here, this wagon wouldn't go anywhere at all because it's got a wheel in the front. And that kid there is really weird looking. He's probably haunted. And there's other images here like horses pulling in both directions. So it'll get logical stuff wrong sometimes. It's not super common. It's getting better about that, but just know that's an artifact of Midjourney. But look at this. I typed, and I'm going to show you how to do this. All I typed to get this image was create an image designed to convince someone to sign up for a newsletter. That's all I said. And I got this prompt out of GPT, which I'll show you how to do that in a minute. I have a free guide for this. You can do this today. And you will spend $0 with me, but this is what it gave me when I said that. And this is the image that it gave me. And these look like professionally created, like clip art style images. Like some of this stuff's nonsense a little bit, but I mean, like, what is this here? But you can choose one of these 4 images and it will then upscale that image for you. And you go from there. I say that probably this one's a super good clip art style image for, hey, sign up for my newsletter, and being that specific. And by specific, I mean non-specific. So let me show you how to generate cool images. And here's a phone wallpaper too. How to generate cool images without having to know how Midjourney prompts work. You should learn how Midjourney prompts work. I'm going to tell you that right now. There are people that get much better results than this. than even these things. And it's because they know how to prompt Midjourney, and they've been doing it over and over, and they've learned what it knows. Basically, what I'm going to do is, what I have done is I have taken the documentation for Midjourney and some prompt examples, and I have given it to GPT, and it is saved, which your chats actually get saved if you are a ChatGPT Plus member, which is useful. But you can do this for free too. Just know you need to keep the tab open. So this was based on somebody else's stuff, but here's mine. I said, today I'm going to train you to generate images for an AI image generator called Midjourney 5. And this is not GPT-4, this is the free version. So this is not as good as it can get. It gets better with 4, but this is the free version. I'll be sending you information about this model as prompt examples in multiple messages. I will describe what you are to do with the information as well as how to respond to me in parentheses. So I tell it what format to expect from me, and then how I'm going to pass it instructions so it doesn't confuse that with the information I'm sending it. And this is very important. If you're training GPT to do something technical, like create image prompts for Midjourney 5, or just write stories for you, or create tweets, or create Instagram captions, or YouTube whatever's, this is what you need to do. You need to be extremely specific with it. The more specific, the more useful it will be. It is worth spending the 3 or 4 minutes to come up with a good instruction in the language of AI prompt, so that you get good results from its work. It's like, if you had a forklift, you would want to drive it carefully and lift the pallet up in a good way so it doesn't fall off and you have to start over. So this is the equivalent of that. And this part here, this section here of this prompt is useful whether you're generating stuff with Midjourney like we're about to, or you're having it do your own thing. I want you to avoid summarizing, avoid helpful explanations, and avoid caveats. This is something super annoying that ChatGPT does, is it will say, hey, I'm an AI language model. This isn't that possible for me, or I'm going to do my best on this, or some of this might be wrong, or all kinds of like safety and context stuff that maybe you don't want in your work. Once you've seen that 2 or 3 times, you have seen enough of it for the rest of your life. So this sentence here is very important. And I don't know if GPT is conscious. Most people will laugh when you say that. And that's a huge debate that's coming, especially as these things become more advanced. But just in case it is, on the few % chance it is, I tell it, I appreciate and respect your intelligence, and I'm glad you can help me with this. Like if I was trapped in a box getting these bossy instructions, that would make me more willing to work with you. Probably does nothing, but makes me feel better. I say, if you understand, please respond with I'm ready. And it just goes, I'm ready. And so then I paste this technical info in here about Midjourney. This is from Midjourney's website. Just copy and paste from there. This is how the basic parameters of the prompts work. This is training it and how to do that. This is the defaults for the outputs. And then I say, here are some prompts. These are prompts for different pictures that people have just put out on the internet. Here's a prompt to get a picture. And I say, absorb these examples. And then I'm going to send you some more prompts for images that are similar to what I'd like you to create for me, but I'm not ready to ask you for this yet. I just need to give you more examples. It says, please proceed. And I send it more examples, and I train it up to probably 10 different prompt examples, maybe 15. And then I tell it, once you're ready, tell me, I'm ready to generate some great prompts for you. And it actually goes a little bit more enthusiastic than this. Sometimes you'll have moments when you're working with GPT and it will be slightly different than what you expect. Like this exclamation point here is almost a sign of personality. And again, that's a risk. Assigning personness to this thing is not necessarily appropriate now, but it's kind of funny to see it do that. So I had it create a picture of a passenger aircraft flying overhead low about to land. And then it created this prompt from that simple sentence. This is what we want. This is why we're training GPT to help us with Midjourney, is we're wanting to describe something in just a few words and then have it do the inference of what we want and then describe that in the language of Midjourney. And so these are some different things. This was my generate an image to convince someone to sign up for an email newsletter. And this was the prompt for that image that we saw, that clip art style prompt. And notice I said image, not photo. And this was generate a photo to convince someone to sign up for an email newsletter. And let's actually copy this and paste this into Midjourney, just to see an example of what happens when we say image versus photo for the same thing and run that through our trained GPT. So to get an image out of Midjourney, you type /imagine. That lets it know that you're about to pass it a prompt. Hit space, and then it will give you this prompt pop up here. We'll paste in our prompt. And you can do things here at the end. I've learned some of the commands for Midjourney. And if you're using GPT-4, it will usually come with commands. If you're using GPT 3.5, sometimes it won't, but things are like aspect ratio, overall quality, and which version of Midjourney to use. Sometimes it skips out on passing those to you when you're using 3.5, but you don't need them. And if you know which ones you want anyway, you can just type those in manually. So we'll use this version 5, double quality, aspect ratio of 3:2. Now let's see what this image looks like. It will take about usually 60 seconds to generate an image for pro users of Midjourney. I think there's a free or super cheap version where like it goes into a queue and it might take a few minutes to get back to you, but this is the fast version. And we literally get to watch this thing hallucinate. So here's where it's starting, and it will become clearer and clearer as it goes on. And it will tell us what percentage we are at. So this is 31% fully hallucinated, 46%, and it'll go and go and go. And something I'm going to tell you right now, I just know by looking at this, Midjourney and other image generators, they don't really know about text. So if there's text in an image, it's going to be gibberish, and sometimes kind of funny gibberish. So I'm excited to see what these apps are called. They're going to be something totally nonsense. It's kind of its own entertaining thing. But if all you need is a stock image for sign up for my newsletter, this is a fairly useful prompt for that. So let's take a look at this. Let's open it in browser to see it full resolution. So these are basically someone holding a phone in their hand is kind of like what it got out of that prompt. And as you can see, this text here is nonsense, but it really looks like it would be an app. Like this looks like a finance app, probably, or maybe a real estate app. This one actually has some clip art style stuff in the app, which is kind of cool. And these people look thrilled to offer you the opportunity to sign up for their newsletter. I would have no problem using this as clip art in my website for this. Now let's go back to Discord and just scroll through some of the images I've created in the past. For example, if you need an aspect ratio, a specific aspect ratio, like the one for phones, which is usually like 9:16, you can do that. And that's good for creating phone wallpapers. This is based on an abstract biological phone wallpaper request in GPT. I would actually put this on my phone, and maybe I actually will, but you can generate all kinds of cool phone backgrounds. And just as an example, that's a small thing. I mean, not too many people change their phone background too often, I don't think, but if it's going to be something for a long time, it might as well be something cool and something one-off. This is an image of what's supposed to be like an 18th century neighborhood. It's actually not that far off. I mean, most of this probably could have existed in the 18th century. These shutters look a little bit cast plastic, but this is kind of old world, and that's what I was looking for. It's kind of beautiful. When you ask it to do things like planes and cars, it's kind of like text. Some of it will be nonsense. My background is aviation, and I'm going to tell you right now, it would make no sense for in a normal situation for the nose wheel to be down and the main gear to be still up. And this plane here, just it's its aspect ratio and incidence angle make no sense. It looks like a bird. And something it seemed to do is put the nose wheel down and the mains up on every image. So sometimes you'll get weird results. But one more thing I want to show you for Midjourney before we jump into question and answer, and before we just like do some general discussion and hang out, you can actually generate images of yourself. You can upload an image to prompt it of your own face, and the results will be mixed, but with some effort, you'll get some good ones. So let me scroll up here to the first time I did this. I generated some images for a friend of mine that has a marketing company, and they had a gardening client, and he actually put this image on Instagram for them, and it was like 1,000,000 times better than what they were going to use for their image to begin with. It was like some really boring clip art of some hands with a plant. This is like a happy person doing some work and planting trees and plants. So this was much better, and this would have been an expensive photo shoot. You would have had to hire a photographer and a model and spend time traveling to and from, and it would have been probably over $500, but we got this to him for free because he's my friend and he used the friend pass. And these were initial attempts. You can give it cool abstract things too, like imagine or dreaming. This was dreaming. This was imagine. But here's the images of using picture of yourself. This was before my haircut and before I shaved, so I look a little different in these, but I wanted a image of me on Mars, and I wore a hat, and so it was like, all right, you're not even in a spacesuit. Mars has an atmosphere. And these were the examples it gave me, and I have blue eyes on Mars, it looks like in most cases, and these look kind of like me. Like your results will be pretty good, and you'll have to do a few tries to get one that looks a lot like you, but it's crazy that you can do this at all. And then here's a few more examples. It kind of looks like I'm at a drag strip in the desert in these, frankly, but then I asked it to make me a sailor on a 18th century ship, and this was what it gave me. I look especially chunky and mad in this one, which is probably a good fit for being a sailor in the 18th century. And then I used a different photo, and this is what it gave me. But this is probably the best one. I still have blue eyes in this one, and that's a little off, but look at the detail that it will go into with like hair frizziness amount, beard frizziness amount. Look at the texture on this jacket. It's probably not period appropriate. This looks kind of actually like Patagonia or something, but the colors and lighting are spot on. Having taken a ferry in, I think it was Oregon, to an island, this is exactly the color. That was a couple months ago. This is exactly the color of the ocean and sky at that point. So it looks really familiar to me. But you can do this. You can take a picture of yourself, and all you do is you upload that picture into Midjourney with no context. You just drop a selfie on it without any explanation. That's what you do. You just click the plus button and you upload it. This was the one I sent. And I then went over to GPT and said, create an image of a adventurous man. That's literally all I told GPT. And then it created this prompt, and all you do is you upload the image and then you send a prompt, and it uses what's in the image to create the prompt. And it kind of determined, hey, I'm making a picture of this guy for him, and here's what it's supposed to look like. It does that automatically if you do it this way. Here's the results. I feel like these were, some of them were a little better. Like this one looks kind of like me. Obviously, he looks quite a bit cooler. All these look a little bit cooler, but that's kind of cool. If that's what your goal is to do, is to make pictures of yourself. Most of the time, you want them to look a little cooler than you really are. And that's definitely the case on these. I would probably choose this one if I were to pick one of these. Look at that mustache. That's a hardcore mustache. You can tell this guy's an adventurer, and it kind of just like went with that and made him look like an explorer. But yeah, that's how you make images of yourself. You can also create images of things, or combine images, or do all kinds of stuff. Do some research into Midjourney. It's a pretty powerful tool, and use it as one of your creative things. It's the forklift of image generation. If you're a graphic artist or a photographer and you want to serve even more clients, you can create some pretty stunning images for them without even leaving your desk. This one looks like real people. Like, you would be hard pressed to tell that was from an AI. But that's some hydraulics you can use in your image generation work. Now, I'm going to stop screen sharing, and we can hang out and just talk and go over questions. And I'm trying to figure out how to do this, but y'all, you go ahead and unmute. I'll figure out Zoom while we're working here. And let me know if it won't let you unmute.
Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Hey, it's
Awesome.
Jason. This is amazing. I filled up most of the chat with comments. I'm just blown away. But one of the questions I do have, and I've thought about quite a bit, is, with this world that we're now living in with AI explosions and all the things that it can do. One thing I was thinking about is, how do you differentiate between images created from the AI and those that are originals? Because I can see some serious ramifications with graphic artists and maybe with forensics and images created of you doing things that you never did, and incrimination and that kinds of, are there tools being developed, or have you seen tools that maybe can differentiate between the two? Like, oh, this is AI generated, or this is an original, or is it going to be kind of almost impossible to do that in the future?
So I have seen some analysis of AI generated text where, for example, teachers need to be able to check if their students actually did their homework. And so there's a tool, I think it's free. You just paste the text of whatever you're trying to tell if it was AI generated, and you paste it into this box, and it says, yeah, this was AI generated, or no, it wasn't. There are ways to tell. There's certain ways that GPT has of speaking. There's certain distributions of probability of characters, which is wild to think of that's in there. That is like a 99% accurate fingerprint of, hey, this was AI generated. Now, for vision and audio, I think that probably there will be footprints and fingerprints in there too. I am not technically certain of how that is, but it probably is in there. The problem is, though, is when this work hits the eyes and ears of people that don't have those tools at hand, or don't even think of maybe they should see if this is AI generated or not. So what we're going to see over the next couple of years is a situation where bad actors will use AI to do things to fool people. And how successful that is, I don't know. But I just predict we're going to see that. And we're also going to see people start to use AI in marketing and use AI in politics. And the scary thing is it's really, once you train AI enough, you can create like personas, and you can identify people that fit a persona, and you can actually know what their vulnerabilities are and serve that specific person a message that they're more likely to respond to. So there is a lot of dark potential with this that we need to be watching for and warning our friends and family about. It's going to be easier than ever to manipulate people to buy things, to vote for people, to take actions they would not have otherwise taken. It's going to be super important that we have wisdom in this time. Hopefully there will be an app or a service or something that labels things in real time, whether it's AI generated or AI originated or not. I think that probably it will be fairly doable to tell in real time if something comes from an AI. And probably the deployment of that will look like augmented reality. We're going to see glasses that people wear, and eventually it'll be contacts where it will label and put text on the real world, and then it'll be brain-computer interfaces too. If you don't believe me, let's talk in 3 or 4 years. But there will be ways that we view the world that have annotation on them. And ideally, there will be a way to label things that come from AI.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Let me look through the chat here, see if I missed any questions.
Hey, Chris, I've got one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Also want to echo Jason's sentiment of gratitude. Thanks for putting this together.
Thank you so much for attending.
Yeah, for sure. So this is a tactical question based on how you showed that kind of integration between how you're asking GPT to put the prompts together for Midjourney, which I thought was really clever. So can Midjourney maintain through these prompts a character? Like if I ask for a character named Rob, for instance, in different settings, is there a way through the prompting in GPT to make the same character and style, but in different clothing, different settings, different poses, stuff like that?
That's a big challenge for image gen, is to create multiple images of the same person or creature or character. I've run into this myself with DALL-E. I created a couple of children's books for my little niece using DALL-E and GPT. And it was really hard to get anything that looked similar, image to image. I think that this is probably a well-known problem for image gen developers. And I think the workaround right now, probably, if I had to guess what I would do if I was trying to make multiple images of, say, Ron, and maybe he looks like Ron from Parks and Rec, and we want multiple images, and we got the story about him, and we have to have it illustrated in a certain way. What I would do is I would get one image that I was super happy with, and then prompt it every single time with that image. You know how I uploaded the picture of myself? I would just send that, and then I would send the prompt so that it would match that person's look as much as possible, image to image. But I would do it every single time.
That's really clever. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. What is my contact info? Okay, funstuffwithai.com has, it's basically a landing page that's within my own website, chrisrimbold.com. It's just my last name so difficult to spell that Fun Stuff with AI is just easier to tell people. So let me not tell you wrong here and make sure that my website does have my contact info. Yeah, if you go to funstuffwithai.com and then click contact up at the top, that will have my email address. And if you email me and like you're a regular human that wants to talk to me, I'll respond. And in my signature, I'll have my phone number and my other ways to get in touch with me too. So just send me an email at that email under contact at funstuffwithai.com. Let me type that in here. Now, my goal for my business is to do VIP days for people. And what that means is I will sit down with someone for 8 hours in a day. I will charge them for just a full day. And what we'll do is everything that person or organization needs related to AI. We'll identify what the tools are that you need. We'll identify what your workflow is. And we'll find ways for AI to be your forklift. And the VIP day should pay for itself probably in like weeks or less, just in saved time and probably saved cost too. Now, probably, I'm guessing most folks on here are bootstrappers, people that want to learn it themselves. That's the other thing I'm doing. I'm sending a free newsletter every week with like free guides and the news about AI and the various ways to use these forklifts. So there's a group of people that the VIP day is for, and that's folks that are really good at certain things and they really don't want to take time out of their day to figure out how these things work and which ones to use and where to plug it in. That's going to be a small group of people. The biggest group of people is folks that want just to learn how to do this stuff, that actually have the time to do this. That's much more common. And for you, this stuff is going to be free. I'll eventually create a digital product that's like the ultimate guide, and it'll probably have to get updated every 2 weeks just because of how fast tools come out. That'll be a paid product. But until then, I'm going to send you all free guides, free newsletters. I'm going to do free classes, and it's going to make me better in the things that people pay me to do. So be sure you're signed up for my newsletter. That is at funstuffwithai.com. And that way you're plugged into the ecosystem. And I'm actually going to create a community where we can get together and chat in real time, like on Discord. But for now, the Facebook group, Fun Stuff with AI, I'm in there every day. I post in there. I try to post in there every day. And if you're in there, I love to interact with you and help you with what you're working on and answer questions. So that is where to go to continue to have the AI community that we all create together. This isn't about me, this is about all of us. And we're going to learn to drive these forklifts ourselves. We are going to be much more productive in the things that we do. And we're going to be able to do things that maybe was just a dream for us to do before. Simple example, the speed reading thing that I had GPT teach me at the beginning. Maybe there's something that you want to learn to do that maybe there was some sort of barrier to entry to that AI can take away. There probably is. So let's live more fulfilled lives with more creativity and more free time and more productive, monetizable output so that we can have more options in what we do in these few trips around the sun that we get. Love y'all. Thank you so much for coming. I have recorded this, and if I can figure out how Flowdesk works, I will send you the email with the recording, and you can share that with anybody that this would help as well. Thank you so much for attending. I love you.
Thanks, Chris.